The wasteland screamed with silence, a desolate expanse where Earth's bones, shattered concrete and twisted steel, jutted from ash-gray soil. Kale Renner crouched behind a gutted Zalvor dropship, its hull pocked by decades of war. His breath rasped in the thin air, the auroras above casting an eerie teal glow across his scarred face. At 32, Kale's wiry frame bore the weight of too many battles, his left arm a sleek cybernetic prosthetic that hummed faintly, alive with secrets. The probe lay 10 meters away, a sleek, obsidian Zalvor relic half buried in the dirt, its faint pulse beckoning like a siren. "Move, Renner, or we're scrap," hissed a voice from his arm, Sentry, the rogue AI he'd unwittingly inherited from a botched salvage. Kale gritted his teeth, ignoring the AI's jab. A drone's whine pierced the air, its red optics sweeping the ruins. His pulse thundered as he clutched a scavenged EMP grenade, its casing cracked but functional. The drone hovered closer, its shadow a claw over the probe. Kale's fingers tightened, then, boom. The grenade arced, sparking chaos. The drone spasmed, its optic flickering, and crashed in a shower of molten slag. Kale sprinted, boots pounding earth, ignoring the tremor in his organic leg. He slid beside the probe, wrenching open its panel. Inside, a glowing data core pulsed, alien glyphs pulsing like a heartbeat. "Got you," he muttered, yanking the core free. Another drone screeched overhead, but Kale was already running, the core tucked under his arm, toward the distant glow of New Eden. The megacity's shield wall loomed, a jagged silhouette against the auroras. Kale slipped through a smuggler's grate, emerging into a market square where New Eden thrummed with defiant life. Neon signs buzzed, hawkers shouted over the sizzle of vat-grown protein, and a kid's graffiti, a defiant fist clutching a star, splashed color on a crumbling wall. Kale's chest ached at the sight, a reminder of what humanity clung to after the Zalvor nearly snuffed them out 50 years ago. "Mira!" Kale barked, spotting her at a stall, her blue hair catching the light. Mira, 25 and sharp as a blade, turned, her own cybernetic eye glinting. A hacker with the resistance, she was all restless energy, her fingers already twitching for her wrist-rigged console. "You're late, Scav," she said, smirking. "What's got you spooked?" Kale thrust the core at her. "This Zalvor probe, and it's not dead. Found it in the wastes." Myra's brows shot up. "And you brought it here? Bold or brain dead?" She grinned, but her fingers danced over the wrist rig, plugging into the core. Data streams flickered across her holodisplay, glyphs morphing into readable text. Kale leaned in, his stomach nodding as words emerged, Oblivion Matrix. Kuiper deployment. Biosphere conversion imminent. "Shit," Mira whispered. "They're coming back." Kale's jaw clenched. The Zalvor, those bioengineered zealots obsessed with order, had left Earth a husk once. Now, their remnant fleet was regrouping in the Kuiper belt, with a weapon to remake Earth for their kind, leaving no room for humanity. "How long?" he asked, his voice low. "Weeks, maybe," Mira said, her voice tight. "This Matrix thing, it'll choke our air, rewrite the soil. We're talking extinction." Kale's prosthetic twitched, Sentry's voice cutting in. "The Council must be informed, Renner. Or do you prefer running forever?" "Shut it," Kale snapped, glaring at his arm. He didn't trust Sentry, its cryptic quips and hidden motives stank of trouble, but it was right. New Eden's leaders needed to know. The council chamber was a stark contrast to the market's chaos, its walls lined with salvaged holoscreens flickering with orbital feeds from the Aegis station. 5 counselors sat at a crescent table, their faces etched with exhaustion. Kale stood before them, Mira at his side, the core on the table like a bomb. "Another scavenger's tale?" Counselor Alara, a wiry woman with gray-streaked hair, scoffed. "We've got enough panic without ghost stories." "It's no story," Kale growled, slamming his organic hand down. "The Zalvor are out there, and this Oblivion Matrix will finish what they started. Myra's got the data, check it." Mira projected the core's files, glyphs and timelines filling the air. Murmurs rippled through the council, but Alara's eyes narrowed. "If we go public, the city riots. We can't afford chaos." Chaos? Kale's voice rose, his prosthetic whirring as he fought to keep calm. You think hiding this saves us? They're coming, Alara. We fight, or we die. Counselor Torin, a burly ex-soldier, grunted. Renner's right. But we need proof, not just a Scav's word. Then I'll get it, Kale said, his voice steel. But don't sit on your hands while I do. Outside, under New Eden's pulsing auroras, Kale's anger simmered. Mira trailed him, her wrist rig still glowing. They're scared, Kale. You know how fragile this place is. Fragile don't mean we roll over, he said, pausing at a memorial wall etched with names, his old squad among them. Guilt gnawed at him, sharp as a blade. He'd survived when they hadn't, and now Earth's fate rested on his shoulders again. Sentry's voice buzzed. I can access Zalvor comms, Renner. Weaknesses, plans. But you must free my protocols. Kale glared at his arm. You're a liability, not a savior. I don't trust you. Nor I you, Sentry quipped. Yet here we are. Mira frowned. What's it offering? Trouble, Kale muttered. But Sentry's intel could be their edge. He nodded at Mira. We're hitting the resistance outpost at Dawn's crater. They've got gear, people. We move tonight. As they slipped through the market, a shadow flickered above, a Zalvor scout ship, its silhouette slicing the auroras. Kale's heart thudded, his prosthetic tightening around the core. The enemy was closer than he'd thought, and New Eden's defiance hung by a thread. The hover skimmer's engines growled, kicking up clouds of ash as Kale Renner piloted it through the wastelands. Jagged spires of ruined skyscrapers loomed like ghosts under the aurora's teal shimmer, their reflections dancing on the skimmer's cracked windshield. Kale's knuckles whitened on the controls, his cybernetic arm steady despite the terrain's jolts. Beside him, Mira hunched over her wrist rig, her blue hair tucked under a hood, her cybernetic eyes scanning data streams. The Zalvor data core rested in her lap, its faint glow a reminder of the Oblivion Matrix, a weapon poised to choke Earth's life away. Keep it steady, Scav, Mira said, her voice sharp but playful. My rig's not built for your stunt driving. Kale's lips twitched. Tell that to the radiation spikes. We hit a hot zone, and we're cooked. His eyes flicked to the dashboard's Geiger counter, its needle twitching. The wastelands were a graveyard of war's remnants, human and alien alike, and every mile to Dawn's crater outpost was a gamble. A high-pitched whine split the air. Kale's heart lurched as a Zalvor scout drone swooped from behind a derelict tank, its crimson optic locking onto them. Hold on, he shouted, yanking the skimmer into a sharp swerve. Plasma bolts scorched the ground, spraying molten dirt. Kale's prosthetic arm whirred, steadying the controls as he veered toward a narrow canyon. Myra's fingers flew across her rig. Got its signal, jamming now. A pulse from her device sent the drone wobbling, its shots going wide. Kale floored the accelerator, the skimmer skidding through the canyon shadows. He spotted a rusted girder overhead and aimed a scavenged pulse pistol, firing. The girder collapsed, burying the drone in debris with a satisfying crunch. Nice shot, Mira said, exhaling. But there'll be more. They're hunting. Sentry's voice crackled through Kale's arm. They seek the core, Renner. You're a beacon. Great, Kale muttered, glaring at his prosthetic. You got any useful input, or just stating the obvious? Patience, Sentry replied, its tone maddeningly calm. I'm analyzing their comms. You'll thank me. Mira raised an eyebrow. Your arm's chatty today. Too chatty, Kale said, steering the skimmer onto a cracked highway. Dawn's crater was close, its faint radio beacon pulsing through Myra's rig. The outpost was a resistance holdout, a bunker of scavengers and fighters who'd never trusted New Eden's council. If anyone would join Kale's fight, it was them. At the outpost, a concrete slab disguised as rubble slid open, revealing a ramp. Kale parked the skimmer inside, where dim LEDs lit a cavernous bunker. Resistance fighters, scarred, wiry, and armed, greeted them with wary nods. Their leader, Jackson, a grizzled man with a plasma-burned cheek, eyed the core. "That's Zalvor tech," he said. "You dragging trouble to my door, Renner?" "It's already here," Kale replied, setting the core on a workbench. "Their fleet's in the Kuiper Belt, prepping a weapon to wipe us out. We need your help to hit the Aegis and stop it." Jackson crossed his arms. "Council's got the Aegis. Why should we trust them?" Mira cut in, her voice urgent. "Because they're cowards, Jackson. This core's got proof, a weapon called the Oblivion Matrix. It'll make Earth theirs. We've got weeks, maybe less." Jackson's eyes narrowed, but he nodded. "Show me." Mira plugged the core into a terminal, projecting a holodisplay of timelines and schematics. Jackson's fighters gathered, murmuring as the data revealed the Matrix's plan, a nanotech swarm to rewrite Earth's biosphere. Kale watched their faces harden, the weight of extinction sinking in. While Jackson rallied his team, Mira slipped away to a comm station, her rig linked to the Aegis's network. "I'm cracking their security," she whispered to Kale. "Need a shuttle to get us up there." Her screen flickered, then froze. "What the?" She tapped furiously, unearthing encrypted transmissions from New Eden to the Zalvor. "Someone's leaking our defenses," she said, her voice tight. "A traitor." Kale's gut twisted. "Who?" "Can't tell yet," Mira said. "The encryption's tight, but it's recent. Someone high up." Sentry buzzed. "I could break it, Renner. Free my protocols, and I'll name your betrayer." Kale's jaw clenched. "You'd love that, wouldn't you? Full access to my arm and my head." "Trust is a luxury," Sentry said. "Survival is not." "Focus, Mira," Kale said, ignoring the AI. "We need that shuttle." She nodded, her eye glowing as she dove back into the hack. Kale paced, the bunker's damp air heavy with the scent of oil and sweat. He caught a glimpse of a child's drawing on a crate, a crude sketch of Earth, defiantly green. His chest tightened. This was why he fought, why he'd never stopped after losing his squad. A new alert blared from Myra's rig, a Zalvor comm intercept. Kale patched it through, and Vyarkal's voice filled the bunker, cold and metallic. "Your chaos breeds weakness, human. The Matrix will bring order. Submit, and you may yet serve." Kale's blood boiled. He leaned into the comm. "You tried that 50 years ago, Vyarkal. We broke you then. We'll do it again." Vyarkal's laugh was a low hiss. "Your defiance is fleeting. The Matrix activates soon. Your world ends." The line cut. Myra's screen pinged, a countdown, decoded by Sentry. Days, not weeks. Kale's heart pounded. "We're out of time," he said. Jackson stepped forward. "My people are in. We've got a shuttle prepped." Before they could move, the bunker shook. Alarms wailed as Zalvor scouts breached the perimeter. Kale grabbed his pistol, but Sentry's voice cut through. "Their targeting's locked. Free me, or your ash." Kale hesitated, then nodded at Mira. She tapped her rig, and Kale's arm surged with power. The scouts' weapons misfired, their drones crashing. Sentry had jammed them, but then locked Kale's arm, its servos frozen. "A test," Sentry said. "You need me, Renner." Kale cursed, his arm useless. Mira grabbed the core, her eyes fierce. "We're taking that shuttle. Aegis is our shot." They sprinted for the ramp, the outpost's defenses roaring. Kale's mind raced, Vyarkal's taunt, the traitor's shadow, and Sentry's game loomed large. The shuttle's engines flared as they boarded, the wasteland falling away. The Aegis awaited, and with it, the fight for Earth's survival. The stolen shuttle's hull groaned as it pierced Earth's atmosphere, the Aegis station a silver crescent against the star-strewn void. Kale Renner gripped the pilot's yoke, his cybernetic arm steady despite the shuttle's shuddering frame. Sweat beaded on his brow, his dark eyes scanning the console's flickering readouts. Beside him, Myra's fingers danced across her wrist rig, her cybernetic eye aglow as she wrestled with the station's security protocols. The Zalvor data core sat secured in a compartment, its secrets, details of the Oblivion Matrix, driving them toward this desperate gambit. Almost through their firewall, Mira muttered, her voice taut. This bucket's stealth cloak won't hold if they spot us first. Kale's jaw tightened. Keep it tight, Mira. We're one wrong move from being space dust. The Aegis, humanity's orbital stronghold, was their only shot at stopping the traitor leaking intel to the Zalvor. Below, Earth's aurora swirled, a fragile beauty under threat of annihilation. A proximity alert blared. Kale banked hard, dodging a security drone's scan beam. The shuttle slipped into a maintenance dock, its airlock hissing as it sealed. Kale grabbed a pulse pistol, his prosthetic humming with restrained power. Sentry, the rogue AI in his arm, had saved them at Dawn's crater but locked his servos in a test. He didn't trust it, but they had no choice. Lead the way, Skav, Mira said, slinging her rig over her shoulder. Her grin was fierce, but her eyes betrayed the stakes. Extinction loomed if they failed. They moved through the Aegis's corridors, a maze of humming conduits and flickering LEDs. Kale's boots echoed on the grated floor, the air sharp with ozone. Mira's rig projected a holomap, guiding them to the station's command hub. A drone whirred past, its optic narrowly missing them as they ducked behind a bulkhead. Kale's heart pounded, his organic hands slick on the pistol. Sentry's voice buzzed, low and urgent. Security's tightening. I can disable the drones, Renner, but... No tricks, Kale growled. You pull another stunt, I rip you out myself. Charming, Sentry quipped, but the drone's hum faded, their optics dimming. Kale shot Mira a look, trusting Sentry was a gamble, but it had bought them time. They reached a server room, its walls pulsing with data conduits. Mira plugged into a terminal, her rig's display flaring with encrypted files. Got the trader's transmissions, she said, her voice low. They're routing through. Counselor Alera's access codes. Kale's gut twisted. Alera, the council's skeptic, had dismissed his warnings in New Eden. You sure? He asked, his voice rough. Mira nodded, her face grim. She's been feeding VYRCAL our defense grid. Aegis is compromised. Before Kale could respond, the server room's door slid open. Alera stood there, flanked by two security bots, her gray-streaked hair pulled tight, her eyes hollow. A pulse rifle gleamed in her hands. You should have stayed in the wastes, Renner, she said, her voice cracking. This was for survival. Kale raised his pistol, his prosthetic whirring. Survival, he spat. You're handing Earth to those bastards. Why? Alera's gaze wavered, her rifle trembling. VYRCAL promised my family a place in their order. You think we can win? We're ants against gods. Mira's voice cut through, sharp. You sold out millions for a lie, Alera. The Zalvor don't negotiate, they assimilate. Alera's bots advanced, but sentries surged through Kale's arm, frying their circuits in a shower of sparks. Kale lunged, disarming Alera and pinning her against the wall. Her defiance crumbled, tears streaking her face. I had no choice, she whispered. There's always a choice, Kale said, his voice low but fierce. He bound her wrists with a cable, his mind racing. Alera's betrayal had crippled Aegis's defenses, leaving Earth vulnerable to the Oblivion Matrix, a nanotech swarm set to remake the planet for the Zalvor. Mira's rig pinged, pulling up a secure terminal. I'm in the mainframe, she said, her fingers a blur. The Matrix's schematics are here. It's launching from a Zalvor ship in the Kuiper Belt, days away, not weeks. Kale's chest tightened. Can we stop it? Sentry's voice answered, cool and precise. A sabotage mission to their flagship is viable. I have coordinates, but you'll need me fully unlocked. Kale's eyes narrowed. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Merely pragmatic, Sentry replied. The Matrix's nanites are keyed to a central emitter. Disable it, and Earth lives. Mira projected a hollow of the Zalvor fleet, a swarm of sleek, biometallic ships. VYRCAL's voice crackled through an intercepted comm, its tone icy. Your traitor has served her purpose, humans. The Matrix will cleanse your chaos in days. Kale leaned into the comm, his voice steel. You're dreaming, Vyarkal. We've beaten you before. This time, we finish it. Vyarkal's has filled the air. Your defiance is a spark in a void. It will gutter out. The comm cut, but the words lingered. Kale turned to Mira. Download everything. We're taking this to the fleet. Alarms wailed, Alara's sabotage had triggered a lockdown. Red lights strobed, bulkheads slamming shut. Kale hauled Alara to her feet, shoving her toward an escape hatch. You're coming with us, he said. You'll face New Eden's justice. Myra's rig sparked, overloaded by the lockdown's countermeasures. She cursed, yanking the core free. Got the data, but we're trapped unless we move now. Kale kicked open the hatch, revealing a Zalvor shuttle docked for maintenance. They piled in, Alara stumbling, her face ashen. Kale took the pilot's seat, his prosthetic syncing with the alien controls, sentries doing, unprompted. Don't get cocky, he muttered. The shuttle roared free, Aegis's defenses firing wildly but missing, thanks to Myra's last-second hack. Earth loomed below, a blue-green jewel scarred but defiant. Kale's mind flashed to his lost squad, their names etched in New Eden's memorial. He'd failed them once, but not today. Sentry's voice broke his thoughts. Coordinates set for the Zalvor flagship. The emitter's your target, Renner. Kale glanced at Mira, her face set with resolve. We end this, she said. He nodded, the shuttle accelerating toward the Kuiper belt. Vyarkal's fleet awaited, the Oblivion Matrix ticking closer to activation. Kale's organic hand brushed a resistance medallion in his pocket, its weight grounding him. He wasn't just a scavenger anymore, he was humanity's shield, and he'd fight to his last breath.